Hey everyone, welcome back to Life Stories Uncovered, where we dive deep into the real, raw, and sometimes unbelievable tales that shape our world. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on these gripping narratives. And as always, drop a comment below letting me know where you're tuning in from, whether it's the bustling streets of New York, the sunny beaches of California, or a cozy corner in Texas. Your support means everything. So if this story resonates with you, give it a thumbs up and consider sending a super thanks to keep more stories like this coming your way. Today we're starting an epic 10-part series inspired by those heart-wrenching family dramas that expose the dark underbelly of wealth, betrayal, and redemption. This is the story of Amelia Hartley, a woman who thought she had it all until one fateful night tore her world apart. Buckle up, because this tale spans years of secrets, lies, and ultimate triumph. We'll break it down part by part, building the suspense as we go. Our story begins in the glittering heart of Atlanta, Georgia, where the elite gather not just for business, but to flaunt their perfect lives. Amelia Hartley, born Amelia Brooks in a modest suburb of Chicago, had married into the prestigious Vanderbilt family, yes, distant relatives of those historical tycoons, though their fortune now came from real estate empires and tech investments. At 28, Amelia was the picture of grace. Long auburn hair, emerald eyes that sparkled with quiet intelligence, and a smile that could light up any room. She met her husband, Donovan Vanderbilt, at a charity gala 5 years earlier. He was charming, ambitious, an heir to a dynasty ruled by his iron-fisted mother, Eleanor Vanderbilt. Eleanor was the matriarch, a woman in her late 60s with sharp features, designer suits, and a reputation for crushing anyone who threatened her family's legacy. The Vanderbilt mansion, perched on a hill overlooking the city, was a sprawling estate with marble floors, crystal chandeliers, and walls lined with portraits of ancestors who built empires. Amelia had moved in after the wedding, leaving behind her career as a graphic designer to fit into the role of the perfect wife. She hosted brunches, attended board meetings on Donovan's arm, and endured Eleanor's constant critiques. "Darling, that dress is a bit pedestrian," Eleanor would say with a saccharine smile. But Amelia endured it all for love, or what she thought was love. The turning point came on a crisp, autumn evening in October 2022. The family was hosting a lavish birthday bash for Donovan's niece, little Sophia turning 4. The theme was Enchanted Forest, with fairy lights strung across the gardens, live musicians playing soft jazz, and tables groaning under gourmet appetizers from Atlanta's top chefs. Guests included local politicians, CEOs, and socialites, over 200 people mingling under the stars. Amelia wore a flowing emerald gown that matched her eyes, hoping to blend in seamlessly. But inside, she was a storm of nerves. For 5 years, she and Donovan had tried for a child. Endless doctor visits, fertility treatments, and whispered prayers. Nothing. The pressure from Eleanor was relentless, though never direct. "Our family tree must branch out," she'd say at dinners, her eyes flicking to Amelia like daggers. As the party buzzed, children in tiny tuxedos and princess dresses chased fireflies across the lawn. Amelia sat at the family table, forcing smiles as relatives cooed over their offspring. Donovan's sister, Clarissa, bounced Sophia on her knee, the birthday girl giggling with delight. "Isn't she just the light of our lives?" Clarissa beamed. Amelia nodded, her heart aching. She glanced at Donovan, hoping for a reassuring squeeze of her hand. But he was deep in conversation with his uncle, Reginald, about stock portfolios. Then came the cake, a towering masterpiece shaped like a fairy castle, adorned with edible gold and sparkling candles. As Sophia blew them out to cheers, Eleanor stood, clinking her glass for attention. The crowd hushed. "What a blessing children are," she proclaimed, her voice carrying like a queen's decree. "They carry our legacy forward. Look around, every Vanderbilt here has contributed to that. Except," her gaze locked on Amelia, "except for those who remain barren, useless to the bloodline." The word useless hung in the air like poison. Gasps rippled through the guests. Amelia's face burned, her world tilting. She turned to Donovan, pleading with her eyes, "Defend me. Say something." But he stared at his plate, fork frozen mid-air, his silence a betrayal louder than any shout. The party resumed awkwardly, music swelling to drown the tension. But for Amelia, time stopped. She was an outsider, exposed and humiliated. The drive home was silent torture. Rain lashed the windshield of Donovan's sleek Mercedes as they wound through Atlanta's tree-lined streets. Amelia stared out, tears blurring the city lights. "Why didn't you say anything?" she finally whispered. Donovan gripped the wheel, knuckles white. "Mother's right," he muttered. "I need heirs, a real family." The words gutted her. They arrived at their penthouse overlooking Peachtree Street, a luxurious space filled with modern art and floor-to-ceiling windows. Donovan didn't even remove his coat. "Pack your things," he said flatly. "You're out." Amelia reeled. "Donovan, please, we can try again." The doctor said, 30 minutes, he interrupted, turning away. No emotion, no remorse, just cold efficiency, like closing a bad deal. Numb, Amelia stumbled to the bedroom. She threw clothes into a duffel bag, jeans, sweaters, a favorite necklace from her late grandmother. Tears streamed as she grabbed toiletries, a half-read novel. Donovan watched from the doorway, arms crossed, like a guard. When she finished, he opened the front door. "Goodbye, Amelia." The door slammed, the lock clicking with finality. Rain soaked her as she stepped into the storm. No umbrella, no plan. Atlanta's streets were empty, puddles reflecting neon signs from bars and diners. She walked aimlessly, legs heavy, mind reeling. Useless, real family. The words echoed. Exhausted, she ducked under a coffee shop awning, fumbling in her purse for tissues. Her fingers brushed a small box, the pregnancy test. She'd bought that morning after a doctor's visit. "Keep trying," the doc had said. On impulse, she tested in the clinic bathroom. 2 lines, positive. Joy had flooded her. She'd planned to tell Donovan after the party. Envisioning it as their turning point, now staring at the test in the rain, irony crushed her. Pregnant, with his child, and he'd thrown her out for barrenness. Laughter bubbled up, bitter and hysterical. She wasn't alone. Life grew inside her. But Donovan? He'd never know. With her phone dying, she called her old college friend Mia in Nashville. Tennessee, a 3-hour drive away. "Amelia, what's wrong?" Mia's voice was sleepy but concerned. "Can I crash with you? It's bad. Come, stay as long as you need." Amelia hailed a cab to the bus station, boarding a Greyhound to Nashville. The ride was a blur of highways and regret. By dawn, Mia waited at the terminal, hugging her tight. No questions, just support. In Mia's cozy apartment, Amelia collapsed, sleeping for days. She confided everything except the pregnancy. That was her secret. Weeks blurred, doctors' visits under her maiden name, confirming twins. Shock turned to fierce protectiveness. She'd raise them alone, away from the Vanderbilts' toxicity. Unpacking, she found an old leather-bound journal, Eleanor's late mother-in-law. Beatrice Vanderbilt's diary, passed to her years ago. Flipping through, an entry caught her eye. Eleanor obsesses over heirs. Thomas, Donovan's father, has issues. Doctors say low chances. She's frantic, talking donors, surrogates. Fears the line ends. God help us. Chills ran down Amelia's spine. This wasn't new. Eleanor's mania spanned decades. But Amelia pushed it aside. She needed to build, not dwell. With Mia's help, Amelia found work at a bakery. Her design skills turning to cake decorating. Orders poured in. She saved for her own place. Nashville's music scene and southern charm healed her. Months passed, belly swelling with twins. She named them in her mind, Lucas and Lila. 3 years flew. Amelia's bakery, Sweet Beginnings, thrived in downtown Nashville, cozy with exposed brick, aroma of vanilla and cinnamon drawing crowds. Lucas and Lila, light-haired cherubs with Donovan's dimples, were her joy. Mornings, daycare drop-off. Days, baking masterpieces. Evenings, stories and cuddles. The past faded until a call from her father. Mom's sick, heart issues. Come home. Atlanta called her back. With twins in tow, Amelia returned, stealing for confrontation. Rumors flew. Eyes followed her at the hospital. Then, at a farmer's market, Donovan appeared with his new wife, Vanessa pregnant and glowing. Shock, pain, but Amelia stood tall. "Hello, Donovan." His eyes on the twins, confusion, suspicion. The avalanche began. Remember to like, subscribe, and comment your location below. Are you listening from Miami's heat or Chicago's wind? Your stories inspire me. If this grips you, super thanks help fuel more content. Now diving back in, Amelia's back in Atlanta, twins in tow, facing the ghosts of her past. But secrets are unraveling, and revenge is brewing. Amelia's parents' home in Atlanta's suburbs was a modest ranch-style house, worlds away from the Vanderbilt opulence. Her mom, recovering from a heart scare, lit up seeing Lucas and Lila. "Grandbabies," she whispered, tears flowing. Amelia's dad, stoic as ever, hugged her tight. But the city buzzed with gossip. That Vanderbilt ex-wife's back with kids. At the market, Donovan's encounter lingered. Vanessa, his wife, eyed the twins warily. "Whose are they?" Donovan stammered later in a tense call. Amelia hung up. But Eleanor struck next, in a park, confronting her. "Bastards to blackmail us?" She sneered. Amelia fired back. "My children." "Stay away," War declared. Amelia lawyered up for paternity and support. Not for money, but truth. Vanessa visited, desperate, offering cash to drop it. "It'll ruin everything." "Why?" Amelia dug. Beatrice's diary hinted at Eleanor's schemes. A visit to the family doctor revealed more. Eleanor sought discreet fertility solutions years ago. Memories flooded. A Vanderbilt gala where Donovan was plied with drinks. Amelia drugged subtly by Reginald, Eleanor's brother. A photo captured Eleanor's watchful gaze in a mirror. The plan: use Amelia as surrogate via Reginald to keep the bloodline. It failed, but she was pregnant anyway with Donovan's twins. Vanessa confessed. Her pregnancy? Fake. A prosthetic to counter Amelia's return. Alliance formed. At a charity gala, Amelia exposed all: diary, photo, fake belly reveal. Chaos. Vanderbilt empire crumbled. Amelia returned to Nashville free. The Atlanta air felt heavier the moment. Amelia Hartley stepped off the porch of her parents' modest suburban home. It was a quiet Tuesday evening. The kind where crickets chirped lazily and streetlights flickered on one by one. Inside, her mother Margaret rested in the recliner, a soft knitted blanket tucked around her legs after her latest hospital follow-up. The twins, Lucas and Lila, were finally asleep upstairs after a long day of toddler. Energy running through the sprinklers, demanding extra stories, and asking endless why, questions about everything from why the sky was blue to why Grandma sometimes looked sad. Amelia sat on the couch, phone in hand, staring at the email confirmation from her lawyer. Paternity and child support petition filed, service pending. She had pressed send 2 days ago, and now there was no turning back. The document would land on Donovan Vanderbilt's desk soon, maybe tomorrow, maybe the day after. And when it did, Eleanor Vanderbilt, the iron-willed matriarch who had once publicly branded her useless, would know that the woman she discarded had returned with living proof. She couldn't sleep that night. Instead, she pulled out Beatrice Vanderbilt's old leather-bound diary again, the one she'd accidentally packed when she fled 3 years earlier. In the soft glow of the kitchen light, she reread the faded entries from decades ago. Eleanor is consumed. Thomas's tests came back disappointing again. Low count, poor motility. She refuses to accept it. Last night she spoke of discreet arrangements, private clinics, surrogates, even family donors if necessary. She says the Vanderbilt name must endure at any cost. I fear for my grandson. Amelia's stomach twisted. This wasn't just a bitter mother-in-law. This was a woman who had spent her entire adult life engineering a legacy, and Amelia had been nothing more than a pawn in that game. Until she wasn't. The next morning brought the first crack in the facade. While dropping the twins at a nearby daycare, a temporary arrangement, while she helped her mom, she overheard 2 women at the drop-off line. Is that Amelia Brooks, the one who married Donovan Vanderbilt? Yeah, and look at those kids. Those dimples are pure Vanderbilt. Wonder if Eleanor knows she's back. Amelia hurried away, cheeks burning. By afternoon, her phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. We need to talk. Vanessa. They met at a small coffee shop on Peachtree Road, tucked away from prying eyes. Vanessa arrived, looking like she'd barely slept, hair in a messy bun. Oversized sunglasses, no makeup. She slid into the booth across from Amelia, hands trembling around a cup of black coffee. I know you filed, Vanessa started, voice barely above a whisper. I saw the papers on Donovan's desk this morning. Eleanor hasn't seen them yet. He's hiding them. But she will. Amelia leaned forward. Why are you here? Because I'm terrified, Vanessa admitted. And because what she's doing to you, she's done to me too. Over the next hour, Vanessa poured out the truth. Her family had fallen into massive debt after a failed real estate venture. Eleanor had swooped in, paid everything off, and demanded repayment in the form of a marriage contract. Vanessa was to become the perfect Vanderbilt wife, beautiful, obedient, fertile. When Amelia returned with twins, Eleanor panicked. The solution? A fake pregnancy. I wear a prosthetic, Vanessa confessed. Every day. She has doctors who fake ultrasounds, write notes, everything. She says it's temporary, just until the scandal dies down. But it's never temporary. Amelia stared at her. You're telling me the entire pregnancy is a lie? Vanessa nodded. She records everything. Calls, meetings. She thinks I'm loyal. I'm not anymore. She slid a small USB drive across the table. Copies of fake medical files. Audio recordings, emails, it's all here. Amelia took it, pulse racing. Why help me now? Because I want out, Vanessa said, eyes filling with tears. And because you deserve the truth. And those kids? They deserve better than this family. That night, Amelia plugged the drive into her laptop. Hours passed as she listened to Eleanor's voice, cold, commanding, calculating. One recording stood out. If the test comes back positive for Donovan, we deny it. Say she trapped him years ago. If it somehow proves otherwise, we destroy the samples. I have people for that. Amelia felt sick. This wasn't just revenge anymore. This was survival. The next few days blurred into a tense waiting game. She visited old friends, gathered more photos, spoke quietly to people who had worked for the Vanderbilts over the years. Whispers of Eleanor's past manipulations surfaced, employees paid off, scandals buried, people who disappeared from Atlanta high society. Then came the invitation in the mail, the Vanderbilt Foundation Annual Gala, charity auction and celebration. A ticket tucked inside, addressed to Ms. Amelia Brooks, formerly Vanderbilt. Vanessa had come through. The trap was set. The Fox Theater in downtown Atlanta had never looked more magnificent. Golden light poured from every chandelier. Red velvet curtains framed the stage, and the air smelled of expensive perfume, champagne, and anticipation. The Vanderbilt Foundation Gala was the event of the year. Politicians, rubbing elbows with CEOs, socialites in designer gowns, photographers flashing nonstop. Everyone came to be seen, to network, to pretend the world was as polished as the marble floors. Amelia arrived alone, chin high, in a stunning emerald gown that caught the light like a jewel. She had spent the day preparing, hair styled in soft waves, makeup subtle but sharp, diamond earrings from her mother glinting at her ears. In her clutch, the USB drive, printed copies of key evidence, and the magnified photo of Eleanor's reflection. She walked the red carpet calmly, ignoring the flashes and murmurs. Inside the grand ballroom, the crowd parted like the sea. Eyes followed her. Whispers followed her. At the head table sat the Vanderbilt family. Eleanor in deep burgundy silk, regal and untouchable. Donovan in a perfectly tailored tuxedo, looking uncomfortable. Vanessa beside him, silver dress flowing, prosthetic belly perfectly hidden beneath layers of fabric. Amelia made her way through the room, accepting polite hellos, smiling tightly. She reached the stage where the MC was preparing the charity auction portion. She leaned in. May I have a moment? She asked. The MC, sensing something big, nodded. Amelia stepped to the microphone. The room quieted instantly. Good evening, she began, voice clear and steady. Tonight we celebrate family, legacy, and the future. But sometimes the desire for legacy becomes dangerous, obsessive, destructive. She paused, letting the silence stretch. 3 years ago at a family event, I was publicly called useless, barren, because I couldn't conceive. That night, my husband threw me out on the street. I was pregnant with his twins. He never knew. Neither did his mother. Gasps, murmurs, phones came out. But Eleanor Vanderbilt had her own plans long before that. She believed her son was infertile. She orchestrated a scheme to ensure an heir, by any means necessary. Amelia signaled. The massive screen behind her lit up with the mirror photo, Eleanor's cold, watchful face staring from the shadows. The room erupted, and when that failed, she discarded me. But the children I carried were already his. She looked at Vanessa. Vanessa stood slowly. With shaking hands, she lifted her dress, unbuckled the prosthetic, and let it fall to the floor with a heavy thud. This pregnancy is fake, Vanessa said, voice amplified by the microphone. Eleanor forced me to wear it, to lie, to cover her son's supposed failure. But no more. Chaos, shouts, flashes. Security moved in. But too late. Everyone was recording. Amelia stepped forward again. Lucas and Lila are Donovan Vanderbilt's children, and they are better off without this family's poison. She looked directly at Donovan. Your mother lied to you about everything. But the truth is finally free. She walked off the stage, through the stunned crowd, out into the Atlanta night. The empire cracked that night, and it would never be the same. The morning after the gala, Atlanta woke up to chaos. Front pages screamed headlines. Vanderbilt heiress exposed in fake pregnancy scandal, family legacy in tatters. Social media was a wildfire. Instagram reels recreating. Vanessa dropping the prosthetic. X threads analyzing every second of Amelia's speech. TikToks with millions of views captioned, Queen of Revenge. Amelia's phone blew up with notifications from old acquaintances. Reporters begging for interviews. Even distant family reaching out after years of silence. Back at her parents' cozy brick ranch house in the quiet suburbs of Decatur, Amelia sipped coffee on the back porch, watching Lucas and Lila chase butterflies in the dew-kissed grass, the ya four. Georgia's sun filtered through oak trees, a gentle breeze carrying the scent of blooming azaleas. For the first time in forever, she felt unburdened. No more hiding the twins' existence. No more fearing Eleanor's shadow. Her mom, Margaret, joined her with a plate of fresh biscuits and gravy. Southern comfort food at its finest. Baby girl, you did what you had to do, Margaret said softly, squeezing Amelia's hand. That woman poisoned everything she touched. Inside, the TV played local news on WSB-TV. Reporters camped outside the Vanderbilt mansion in Buckhead, speculating on stock drops for their real estate holdings. Donovan's company shares plummeted overnight. Vanessa called that afternoon. I'm filing for divorce, she said, voice steady for the first time. And I'm moving to Charleston. Starting over. Thank you, Amelia, for showing me I could. Amelia smiled. We both got free. But not everyone was crumbling quietly. Whispers reached Amelia through her lawyer. Eleanor was furious, plotting in the shadows. Old allies in Atlanta's elite circles closed ranks around her at first, but cracks formed fast. Business partners pulled out. Charity boards asked her to step down. Flashbacks hit Amelia hard that week, nights in Nashville. Building sweet beginnings from scratch. The bakery's grand opening. Aroma of fresh cinnamon rolls, drawing lines down Broadway. Late nights decorating cakes while pregnant, Mia by her side. The twins' first steps on the hardwood floors above the shop. Now, with child support secured, Donovan signed without fight. Terrified of more exposure, Amelia planned her return to Tennessee. But a mysterious envelope arrived. Anonymous photos of her bakery, the twins at daycare. A note, watch your back. Eleanor wasn't done. As Amelia prepared to leave Atlanta, the threats intensified. A break-in at her parents' home. Nothing stolen, but drawers ransacked, old photos of the twins scattered. Police chalked it up to random burglary, but Amelia knew better. She extended her stay, hiring private security. Meanwhile, Donovan reached out desperately, a voicemail begging to meet the children. They're mine too, he pleaded. Against advice, Amelia agreed to a supervised park meet at Centennial Olympic Park. Fountains spraying under the skyline. Donovan arrived disheveled, eyes hollow. The twins eyed him curiously. Daddy? Lila asked innocently, dimples mirroring his. Heartbreak etched his face as truth sank in, years lost to his mother's lies. I didn't know, he whispered to Amelia. She convinced me you were incapable. Amelia's rage flared, but pity crept in. Weakness, not evil, had been his sin. Eleanor's counterattack came swiftly. Leaked stories painting Amelia as gold digger. Questioning the twins' paternity despite evidence. Tabloids ran wild, but public backlash favored Amelia. I charged justice for Amelia trended nationwide. Vanessa testified anonymously to media, sealing Eleanor's fate. Lawsuits flew, fraud, emotional distress. In a climactic confrontation, Eleanor ambushed Amelia at a coffee shop in Midtown. You'll never win, she hissed. The name endures. But Amelia stood tall. Your name is poison now. Eleanor's empire sold off piece by piece. She fled to Europe, disgraced. Amelia returned triumphantly to Nashville, expanding her bakery chain. Life bloomed, new love on the horizon, twins thriving. Yet a final twist loomed. 2 months after the gala, Nashville felt like home again in a way Amelia had never expected. The neon lights of Lower Broadway glowed through her apartment windows each night. Live country music drifting up from the honky-tonks below like a heartbeat. Sweet Beginnings had exploded in popularity, lines out the door every weekend, features in Southern Living and Food Network Digital, even a segment on Good Morning America where Amelia, in a simple apron dusted with powdered sugar, talked about turning pain into pastry. She smiled on camera, but inside the scars still ached. Lucas and Lila were thriving in preschool, coming home with finger paintings and endless stories about their new friends. Amelia's routine was sacred. Early mornings kneading dough while the twins slept, afternoons picking them up and taking them to Centennial Park to feed the ducks, evenings reading, bedtime stories in their shared bedroom. Overlooking the Cumberland River, life was good. Hard-earned, but good, until the letter arrived. It was postmarked from Zurich, Switzerland, elegant cream stationery with a gold-embossed V. Amelia's hands trembled as she opened it in the bakery's back office. The scent of vanilla and browned butter thick in the air. Miss Brooks, you believe you have won. You have not. The Vanderbilt name has survived worse than a scorned woman's theatrics. Enjoy your fleeting fame. The children, however, belong to a greater legacy. They will be reclaimed one way or another. E.V. No signature needed. Eleanor. Amelia's blood ran cold. She immediately called her lawyer, then private security. Cameras were installed around the bakery and apartment. Drop-off and pick-up routines changed daily. But the fear gnawed at her. What was Eleanor capable of from across the ocean? Meanwhile, Donovan had vanished from public view. Rumors swirled. He'd checked into a discreet rehab facility in Arizona, battling alcohol and depression. Vanessa, now divorced and living quietly in Charleston, sent occasional texts checking in. They'd become unlikely friends, bonded by shared trauma. Then came the second blow. A custody petition filed in Davidson County Court. Donovan, citing newly discovered paternity and concern for the children's financial future, sought joint custody and eventual primary if Amelia's public vendetta continued to damage the family name. Amelia stared at the papers in disbelief. After everything, he wanted the twins. The battle began. Court dates were set. Character witnesses lined up. Amelia's side, Mia, her parents, preschool teachers, bakery staff, all painting a picture of a devoted, stable mother. Donovan's side, old family retainers. A child psychologist paid handsomely to question Amelia's mental stability post-trauma. Eleanor pulled strings from afar, donations to judges' favorite charities, anonymous tips to tabloids claiming Amelia had fabricated evidence. But public sentiment stayed firmly with Amelia. Stand with Amelia trended again. In the midst of chaos, a new figure entered her life, Ethan Caldwell, a Nashville-based investigative journalist who'd covered the gala, scandal for the Tennessean. Tall, kind-eyed, with a quiet intensity, he approached her for a follow-up story. Coffee turned into dinners. Dinners turned into him reading bedtime stories to the twins when Amelia worked late. For the first time in years, Amelia felt seen, not as a victim or victor, but as herself. But danger lurked closer than anyone realized. One rainy Thursday, Amelia picked the twins up early for a surprise trip to the Nashville Zoo. As they walked hand in hand past the flamingo exhibit, a man in a dark coat watched from across the path. He lifted a camera. Amelia's security detail moved in instantly. He vanished into the crowd. That night, photos appeared on a fringe gossip site. Grainy shots of the twins captioned, "Vanderbilt heirs in hiding." Eleanor was escalating. Amelia made a decision. Offense, not defense. With Ethan's help, she began digging deeper into Eleanor's European activities, offshore accounts, private flights, meetings with questionable family law specialists, known for international child abduction cases. What they uncovered chilled them. Eleanor had quietly rebuilt a network, funneling money through shell companies, preparing for a long game. The custody hearing arrived like a storm. In the packed Nashville courtroom, Donovan looked gaunt but determined. Amelia, in a simple navy suit, sat ramrod straight. The judge, a no-nonsense woman with a reputation for fairness, listened as lawyers clashed. Then Amelia took the stand. She didn't attack. She told the truth, quietly, powerfully, about the night she was thrown out pregnant and alone, about raising twins on her own, about the threats still coming. The judge's expression softened. Donovan's turn. He stumbled through apologies, claiming he'd been misled. But when pressed about recent contact with his mother, he froze. The ruling, supervised visitation for Donovan, no change in primary custody. A win, but not the end. That night, Ethan held Amelia as she cried. Not from loss, but exhaustion. "We're not done," she whispered. "She won't stop." Ethan kissed her forehead. "Then neither will we." 6 months later, the war went international. Intelligence from Ethan's sources revealed Eleanor had purchased a secluded estate in the Swiss Alps, complete with staff, security, and a private airstrip. Swiss bank records, obtained through a whistleblower contact, showed massive transfers labeled Family Relocation Fund. The implication was clear: abduction. Amelia couldn't wait for bureaucracy. With Vanessa's testimony and Ethan's investigative files, she approached the FBI's Human Trafficking and Parental Kidnapping Division. A case opened. But Eleanor struck first. During a routine bakery delivery run to a wedding venue in Franklin, Amelia's van was run off the road. She escaped with minor injuries, but the message was unmistakable. Donovan, horrified, finally broke ranks. In a tearful recorded deposition, he detailed years of manipulation. How Eleanor had convinced him of his infertility, orchestrated the lake house incident, even forged medical records. He agreed to testify against her. The net tightened. Interpol issued alerts. Swiss authorities raided the estate. Eleanor fled, this time to a private island in the Caribbean, owned through layers of trusts. Amelia, Ethan, and a team of investigators followed leads across continents. Stops in Miami for FBI briefings, London for financial tracing, Nassau for local intel. On the island, confrontation loomed. Under the guise of a catering bid for a charity event, Amelia gained access. Ethan posed as her assistant. They found Eleanor in a sprawling villa overlooking turquoise waters, thinner, harder, but still regal. "You never learn," Eleanor sneered over dinner on the terrace. "Those children are Vanderbilts. They belong with power, not pastries." Amelia's voice was steel. "They belong with love, something you never understood." Security moved in, international warrants executed, Eleanor arrested, extradition pending. Back in Nashville, peace finally settled. Donovan signed away rights quietly, starting therapy. Vanessa visited with her new partner, healing alongside Amelia. Sweet Beginnings franchised. Locations opening in Atlanta, ironically, Charleston and Austin. Amelia and Ethan married quietly on the bakery rooftop. Twins as ring bearer and flower girl. Nashville skyline sparkling below. The past buried, not forgotten but transformed. Strength from pain, family redefined. And that, for now, is where Amelia's story finds its hard-won peace. 3 years after Eleanor's arrest in the Caribbean, Nashville had fully embraced Amelia Hartley as one of its own. Sweet Beginnings wasn't just a bakery anymore, it was an empire. 10 locations across the Southeast, Nashville flagship, 2 in Atlanta, 1 deliberately opened in Buckhead. Steps from the old Vanderbilt stronghold, Charleston, Savannah, Asheville, Louisville, Birmingham, New Orleans, Austin, and a brand new flagship in Chicago, Amelia's hometown tribute. Each store carried the same warm exposed brick aesthetic, the same scent of vanilla and browned butter, the same handwritten chalkboard, menu featuring her signature peach cobbler and the legacy layer cake, 7 layers of alternating, chocolate and vanilla, symbolizing the complexity of family. The twins, Lucas and Lila, were now 6 years old, bright, curious, fearless kindergarten graduates with Amelia's auburn hair and Donovan's dimples. They attended a progressive Montessori school in East Nashville, came home covered in paint and stories, and spent weekends helping in the test kitchen, standing on step stools to pipe frosting under Amelia's watchful eye. Ethan Caldwell, now Ethan. Hartley Caldwell, after a joyful courthouse wedding followed by a rooftop reception under string lights and a full Tennessee moon, had left daily journalism to co-author a best-selling book with Amelia. From Ashes to Icing, a story of betrayal, motherhood, and sweet revenge. It spent 42 weeks on the New York Times list, was optioned for a limited series with Amelia as executive producer, and sparked a national conversation about toxic family dynamics, infertility shaming, and women reclaiming power. But peace is never permanent when old ghosts still whisper. The first ripple came quietly, a letter forwarded from Amelia's publisher, elegant handwriting on heavy stationery, postmarked from a federal women's prison in West Virginia. Mrs. Hartley Caldwell, I have followed your success with interest. You have built something beautiful from the ruins I left behind. I do not ask forgiveness, only a conversation. 1 hour, for the children's sake, if not mine. Eleanor Vanderbilt. Amelia stared at the letter for days. Ethan wanted to burn it. Her therapist urged caution, but acknowledged the potential for closure. The twins, old enough to ask questions about the mean grandma on TV, deserved answers someday. Against all advice, Amelia agreed to the visit, under maximum security protocols. No physical contact recorded. The day arrived gray and drizzling. The prison visiting room smelled of bleach and stale coffee. Eleanor entered in an orange jumpsuit, hair steel gray, posture still proud but diminished. 10 years remained on her sentence for conspiracy, fraud, and attempted international parental kidnapping. They sat across plexiglass. "You look well," Eleanor began, voice softer than Amelia remembered. Amelia waited. "I was wrong," Eleanor said finally. "Not in wanting legacy, that is human, but in how I pursued it. I destroyed my son, terrorized you and Vanessa, endangered my own grandchildren. Pride became poison." Amelia's throat tightened. "Why now?" "Because I am old, and because I have nothing left but truth. Donovan visits monthly. He is sober 2 years, works construction in Arizona, sends birthday cards to the twins you forward. He will never ask for more than you allow." Silence stretched. "I read your book," Eleanor continued. "The chapter where you describe baking through tears while pregnant and homeless. It broke something in me I thought unbreakable." Amelia's eyes filled. "I didn't write it for you." "I know, and yet it reached me." They spoke for the full hour, about regret, about the diary of Beatrice that started it all, about how obsession can masquerade as love. When the guard signaled time, Eleanor pressed a palm to the glass. "Tell Lucas and Lila. Their grandmother was flawed beyond measure, but she sees their light from afar and wishes them only joy." Amelia left shaken but lighter. Closure, imperfect and raw, had finally arrived. Life blossomed brighter afterward. The Sweet Beginnings Foundation, launched. Scholarships for single mothers pursuing culinary arts. Free baking classes for at-risk youth. Partnerships with domestic violence. Shelters providing job training. Amelia became a sought-after keynote speaker, sharing stages with Brené Brown and Glennon Doyle. Ethan's second book, an investigative deep dive into generational wealth and abuse, won a Pulitzer. Their home in 12 South became a gathering place. Sunday suppers with Mia, now godmother and COO of the company. Vanessa, who opened a boutique inn in Charleston and visited often. Even Donovan for carefully supervised holidays once the twins expressed curiosity. And love, deep, steady, daily love, anchored it all. Ethan coaching Lila's soccer team, Amelia teaching Lucas guitar on the front porch, family dance parties in the kitchen to old country records. But one final chapter remained. 10 years after the gala that changed everything, Amelia Hartley Caldwell, now 41, stood on the stage of the Grand Ole Opry. Sold-out crowd. Lights warm, air humming with anticipation. She wasn't performing music tonight. She was introducing the first annual Sweet Beginnings Youth Showcase. Talented teens from the foundation performing original songs, poetry, and spoken word about resilience. Lucas and Lila, now 16, sat front row with Ethan, tall, confident. Kind-hearted teenagers who'd grown up knowing their full story, asking hard questions and choosing empathy over bitterness. The showcase ended to thunderous applause. Amelia took the mic one last time. 10 years ago, she began, voice steady. I was thrown out into the rain, pregnant and called useless. Tonight, we celebrate young people proving every day that no one is useless. That pain can become purpose. That family is built, not just born. The crowd rose in a standing ovation. Backstage surprises waited. Donovan, graying sober 12 years, remarried to a kind social worker in Phoenix, stood nervously with his wife, holding a gift for the twins' upcoming graduation. Hugs were awkward but genuine. Forgiveness, earned slowly, had taken root. Vanessa arrived from Charleston with her partner and their adopted daughter, another chosen family thread. And in the shadows, watching quietly, Eleanor Vanderbilt, released early on compassionate grounds at 82, frail but present. One supervised visit per year had become tradition. No cameras, no drama, just quiet conversations about books, gardening, and the twins' lives. Redemption, imperfect and late, but real. The after-party spilled into the Nashville night. Rooftop bars, live bands, laughter echoing off brick walls. Amelia and Ethan slow danced under string lights to an old Patty Griffin song. twins rolling their eyes but secretly smiling. Later at home, Amelia stood on their back deck overlooking the city lights. Ethan wrapped arms around her from behind. "We made it," he whispered. "We did more than make it," she answered. "We built something unbreakable." The camera of life pulled back. Sweet beginnings now nationwide, foundation scholarships in all 50 states. The limited series premiering to rave reviews. Twins accepted to college, one studying culinary arts with social enterprise focus, the other journalism like their stepdad. Legacy redefined, not blood or name or wealth, but love, resilience, chosen family, turning pain into something sweet for others. And that is how Amelia's story truly ends, not with revenge, but with restoration. A full circle, from ashes to icing and beyond. What was your favorite moment? Could you have forgiven like Amelia did? What does legacy mean to you? Comment below, share your city, and let me know if you want more series like this. Thank you for walking this road with me. You've been the best part of the journey. Until the next life story. Keep rising, keep baking, keep loving fiercely. See you soon.